welcome to Consult a Blind Guy. My name is Andrew. In today's episode, we are covering Leda Day 22, the alter ego. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. I am here to help you grow your channel, build your brand, and educate you about the blind and visually impaired.
Disappointed by reality, trying to come back, start something new, build up yourself, it's all to you. Stay strong no matter what they say, you keep getting better every day. Hold your head up, never gonna stop, fears and proud, stand up and shout. Stand my ground.
Hey everybody, welcome to the live stream. My name is Andrew. As I said, we're covering Leda Day 22, the alter ego. So, with that said, bonjour, kagakshi obwandiak nadishnikas, nijwe shukwidin anishanabek indao, mishike nadodam, nishomis obwandiag gadishnikas, gichi anishanabeka, iwe nuing ina akia ogichida indao. What I just said is, hello, my name is Raven Pontiac. I am of the Three Fires people, Turtle Clan. My grandfather is Chief Pontiac, and I am the All Nations Warrior. Welcome to the live stream. I figured today I would give you a special treat and give you a look at my alternative side, because everybody is so used to seeing me as Andrew. I would give you the alternative Andrew, and that is Raven Pontiac, which is my traditional name, loosely translated in English. Of course, there is much more meaning to my native name than the English translation, but it is not something that I can share publicly. It's something that is held sacred and only allowed to be shared among my community members and elders, and that is why I cannot give you the actual literal translation of my name other than that light term of English translation of Raven Pontiac. And today I figured I would actually give you an extra special treat in a minute, and I would give you a little taste of me playing the flute. But what do you think? This is definitely different for me because I usually would not be sitting here in my regalia. Of course, I'm not wearing absolutely all of it, because if I was, I'd be sweating way worse than I would be already going outside, because it's super hot out there. But I do want to acknowledge those of you that are here with us today. Hello, Sean. Thank you for joining us today. Leah, thank you for joining us today. Dr. Elo, what's going on, my POV and Leda brother? You think this will do for our alter ego challenge today? As a native and being a mixed blood, we refer to living in two worlds. We live in the standard world of everybody else, and then we have the native side of our culture and teachings and things like that. So I'm walking in two worlds. No offense, the white world and the native world. I think this would qualify as an alter ego, because it's not something that I would usually share within like Leda group or on here, but I figured it would be a good way because I don't have really an alter ego. And Callie likes to call out how I'm a warrior with the situations that she's been dealing with and the way I've been going about things. So I figured this would be a good alternative for an alter ego. Hello, Kim. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Dr. Elo. Greatly appreciated. I figured this would probably be a good way to show my other side because not too many people other than my community members actually get to see me dressed in this way. Of course, I'm not wearing absolutely everything. If I was wearing everything for my regalia today, I would probably have about 50 pounds of stuff on right now, and I just don't feel like having 50 pounds of added weight on. So you're getting a ribbon shirt, breastplate, and a little bit of my traditional medicine. And yes, everything that you see on me is in fact real. These are grizzly claws and teeth. My breastplate is made out of buffalo bone, leather, and abalone, and more grizzly claws. My headpiece here is a otter turban, and there's medicine wheels and other pieces of medicine on it. And yes, that is a real eagle feather in this as well. So, what do you think of the alter ego? This is my native side that you get to see today. So, if you have any questions about my native side, feel free to ask. I will answer anything that I can, of course, within our cultural guidelines. There are some things I won't be able to answer, possibly, but I will do my best to answer anything that you have for questions. Hello, Vikachu, and thank you for joining us in the group on Facebook. It's nice to have you there with us. I'm not sure why you didn't get the notification until I went live, Kim. Maybe it's because I didn't schedule it early enough. I'm not sure. So, how is everybody doing on this wonderful Saturday? For those of you who are friends with me on Facebook, I'm sure you've seen my post earlier already that I've been up super super early today. In fact, I was up at 4:30 this morning and I've been going strong ever since. So, it's going to be a long long day for me today. Um I did do some research the other night, and I definitely will not be using Patreon. I'm still looking at the other sources yet. I did want to let you all know that you do not want to bother wasting your time with Shopify at this moment for a print on demand company. Just an FYI, unless you are making a fair amount of money already from your crafts or you have a large group for your print on demand services, I don't find it all that helpful for us because you have to pay for them. I would highly recommend Teespring over Shopify at this point because Teespring is a print on demand company that will allow you to go into business without any cost right up front. Whereas Shopify, unfortunately, is going to charge you just to use their platform. And the cheapest you can get onto that platform is for $29 a month. The next stage up is $79 a month. And the third stage is $300 a month. And I don't know about you in our community, but I don't feel like spending $30 to $300 a month to have a print on demand business that I can go somewhere else and do it for free. Especially when the platform has less capability, in my opinion, than Teespring. Teespring is free. You have your integrations and you can do your designs and everything there and have full control in as many storefronts as you want. Whereas on Shopify, you will be getting 4 pages or storefronts and a blog. And in my opinion, it's not worth it because I can do my blog on Facebook as I already do, as well as have my unlimited amount of stores on Teespring as well. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I will be doing an actual video on these to go more in depth and discuss the terms of use and the features between each of the price ranges and what is there and what's not there, and why I believe that it is not worth doing unless you already have a legitimate setup for a crap ton of people to be going and purchasing your stuff. I see the chat's moving, so let me grab my phone here and take a look. Thank you, Dr. Elo. It's greatly appreciated. Does anyone have any questions about what I was just mentioning about Shopify or Teespring? Or maybe you're curious about my native culture and regalia that I am wearing, or maybe pieces that I'm not wearing. I'd be more than happy to answer any of those questions for you. I wasn't sure what kind of a topic to do today because of it being the alter ego. That's why I figured I would do the native side of me and answer any questions you might have. I'm sure that there's probably something that you're probably curious about. In fact, I'm gonna reach over here and grab my other piece. That way I don't have to reach so far. Describe your alter ego. Well, my alter ego really is Raven. As I said, I can't go into the entire aspect of what my traditional name is, but I can go as far as to say that my name represents the bird, which is a messenger to the creator and gives them wonderful teachings of lessons from the creator. That's why I have that document up there I mentioned the other day. Um, but I am a spiritual leader. There are many birds within our culture that are messengers, and the two most important within my culture when it comes to being messengers of the creator is the eagle and the raven. Uh, Raven was the first bird of creation in our traditions, and that is the bird that I am named after. Of course, there are two types of that bird, and mine is not the dark one. I'll just put it that way. Mine is very bright and red eyed. Uh, I'm sure you understand what I'm getting at because I would say it, but I can't technically go into that part of it because of its meaning and its sacredness to our culture. That's why I merely go by Raven rather than its actual definition. Um, it is in our culture that the raven was the first bird that was created in history, or along with the earth. It was the messenger to creator to explain to the sacred that we had everything in place, that the creator had everything in place. When you think of our creation stories, or you think of, for instance, if you were to reference the Bible, it would say that God created the earth in 7 days. Well, when the creator made the earth, he needed somebody to tell him whether things were good and in their place and if they turned out the way that he wanted, and that was Raven. Raven was the one to descend to the earth and to bring back that message to the creator that everything is as he wanted. And then if you go to our recreation story, it is also the raven that flew to the creator and brought back fire to the people. And I am a registered member of the Pokagon band of Potawatomi, and the Potawatomi people are known as the Fire Keepers. And that is another reason that my name is held so sacred, is because it refers to the raven bringing that fire from creator back to the earth to the people. There's a lot of teaching that goes into that, and I'm just trying to break it down so it's as simple to understand here as possible, because if I was to really go into these teachings, it would take me hours. And I'm not kidding you, it would take me hours, because I would have to sit here and tell you the entire story of creation and recreation. And within that, you would probably understand more about my name, but I will have to ask my elders if that is something that they will allow me to do in this kind of setting, because this is not traditional at all. As I said the other day with the Eagle staff being on camera, there's a lot I am allowed to do, and there's quite a bit I am not allowed to do. And I would have to have permission from the elders in order to go in depth on some of these teachings because of the importance and sacredness of them. Sharing our stories is allowed, but it has to be done in a certain way because of traditional protocols and things like that. So I will ask them if I can do that in a later stream or possibly a video if that is something you're interested in. Awesome, Dr. Elo. That is great. I will definitely reach out to the elders to seek permission. I've already been talking to some of them today because of things that I'm trying to do myself for our community and for the country. As the All Nations warrior, I always seek the elders' approval before I do anything because I do not want to get in trouble for violating cultural protocols or being disrespectful to my elders or our culture in any way as best as possible. As I said, with the Eagle staff the other day, and like right now, I probably shouldn't technically have some of this on, but I feel that with the amount of traditions that have become lax, that this little bit that I am showing will be tolerated compared to some of the other things that I could have done that would really, really get me in trouble. Um, Actually, I can give you a little bit of teaching. For instance, um, this up here, this medallion, is done in the four colors. The four colors represent the medicine wheel, and the medicine wheel is broken into four quadrants: white, yellow, red, and black, which represents the directions as well as races and our medicines, and each of them has a different meaning. You also have the representation of spiritual, emotional, physical. Why am I drawing a blank now? mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional. Sorry. And little bit nervous on camera today, Dr. Elo. Compared to what I've been doing in Leda, I've been very confident in everything I'm doing. Now, today that I am in part of my regalia and I have to be careful about what I'm saying and doing, I'm just a little bit nervous because I do not want to screw up and I don't want to be getting in trouble. Uh, Kim, we would traditionally wear what I'm wearing today for powwows or ceremonies, gatherings of just about any type. Um, we would wear something similar to what I'm wearing now for funerals, but it wouldn't be my best dressed. It would be my lowest quality of regalia because it is a sign of respect not to be showing off at funerals and acting as if you're better than anybody else. Um, Weddings, naming ceremonies, traditional gatherings for the solstice of each quarter, uh, powwows, graduations. There's a lot of different reasons that we would wear our regalia. Um, And I actually chose this ribbon shirt today because it is my Marine Corps one, and I figured this would show more of my warrior side. I have other ribbon shirts, but I did not want to bring those out because the colors on them represent certain things, and I didn't want to be disrespectful to cultural teachings and things like that. As I said, I would have to seek permission from elders to do certain things, and I figured this would be the minimalist version that I could give today. Um, Within the medicine wheel, that, as I was saying, it gives us the four directions, and of those medicines that I could speak of, you might notice that out in the community, if you ever go to a powwow or are able to attend gatherings where you can see us practice our cultures of the different nations, you'll notice that we use tobacco quite a bit. And that's another story I will talk on later because I'm one of the very few in this country who will actually give you the teaching that I was given because that story came from my family. And I will argue with elders on that specific teaching because I believe that a lot of our people go against the actual meaning of that story. Um, but we use tobacco, sage, cedar, and sweetgrass. Each of them medicines has a different purpose and a different meaning behind them, and we were given them medicines in different ways. And we use those to pray. We use those as gifts to each other, ways to speak to the spirits. Or if you're curious, when I say spirits, I mean those that have walked on to the Creator, those who have passed. And most people don't realize when we make them reference that spirits never leave. They are still here, but they're in a world that is not seen by many. And that is one reason I have my name is because of those teachings. And I was 7 years old when I received my name from my grandfather, my grandmother, and one of my great uncles who did my ceremony, along with some of our community members who were there to witness it when it happened. Yes, Dr. Elo, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Um, Unfortunately, that's another thing within our culture that is misappropriated. We do have powwows that travel. Now, the difference between some of these powwows is whether or not they're actually traditional or whether they're contemporary. The reason I say contemporary is because what everybody knows as a powwow today was not actually what we would do back in the day before colonial settlers. Pardon me. Back in the old days, our people would gather for certain events like the solstice, summer solstice, winter solstice, fall solstice, spring solstice. The changing of the seasons was one of our traditional gatherings, and we would dance and sing and things like that for those. But what everybody is so used to seeing these days of going out to like New Mexico for the Gathering of Nations or some of the other powwows that are around the country, we that are actually traditional will refer to those as Wild West shows because it is because of Wild Bill and the Wild West show that they had way back in the day that we have these gatherings known as powwows today because that's not truly how we were. They created those to show off our people and make money off of our people, and that's not how things are supposed to be done. Traditional powwow is not something that would be open to the public. Technically, if we were to follow true traditional standards today, it would be a gathering of the people of the tribes or of the tribe, depending on what the specific reason was. And we would gather and have our gatherings together in a sacred way, practicing ceremonies and praying and dancing together. What everybody sees today is a mockery, more or less, of what our traditions truly are. We would travel between the nations and dance and have these gatherings, but the flashy colors and things like this were not traditional. These are contemporary. We did have beadwork, but they weren't glass beads until after settlers came here to the country. We actually used different uh, pieces of bone, wood. Uh, for instance, we would also use like dried out corn and rice and things like that to make our beads rather than what we have like here, where it's actual glass and things like that. Um, we had gatherings for, as I said, funerals and weddings, naming ceremonies, and things like that. Those back in the day were the traditional way where we would gather and celebrate those things in a good way. Today, everybody sees us out there dancing our traditional dances, and it's more for a show than anything. They're still held in a sacred manner, more or less, but it's not 100% traditional. Because if it was really 100% traditional, we would not have public gathering around and giving us money or doing giveaways or anything like that. Those things that we see today are more of a contemporary thing that were brought upon because of dealing with the settlers. It was a way for the settlers to more or less mock our people and make us a show rather than actually acknowledging us as human beings. And that's why a couple weeks ago I had made the comment about genocide still continuing today and everything else because of the way that things are still happening and the way that laws and things are that are still in place. For instance, many people still do not realize that if you're over in Kansas or Utah and a couple other states out west, that if you actually have two Native Americans walking down the road together, they can still be classified as a war party and shot on sight. That is still a form of genocide. Um, no offense to anybody, but I'm going to touch on this again just a little bit. This whole Black Lives Matter thing. If you really look at the numbers, pay attention to the way things have happened, it's not an all Black Lives Matter thing. It's an all lives matter thing. Why? Because we should not be sitting here fighting each other over the color of our skin in police brutality. Because no matter what color you are, we all face that racism. We all face that discrimination. We all face the possibility of getting beaten or killed by a cop. Doesn't matter the color of your skin. And when it really comes down to it, statistics show that Native Americans are still the number one killed in custody or on the streets by police. And the whole reason that that number is not shown out to the public is because when they go out and they make these reports on police shootings and deaths in custody, they go by the color of the skin, not the fact of really telling you whether somebody is Native American or not. Unfortunately, that's one of the ways that they still oppress the native, and that's one way that they still commit genocide against our people. Their theory is that by mixing of a native with a white person or a black person or any other culture or ethnicity, that by dwindling our blood down in, or as they say, quantum, they feel that anything under a full blood is not actually a Native American, and that's not how our teachings go. Now, there is unfortunately racism within our own people because they will hate against us because of being mixed. I myself have to deal with that issue myself because I am light skinned. I have to deal with racism within the Native community myself because I am mixed. There's a lot of people out there who still think that if you're not a 100% full blood because your mother and father are full blood, then you aren't shit. And that goes against a lot of our teachings. And it's heartbreaking and it hurts a lot of us to think that we have to endure that from our own people when our teachings state that it does not matter whether you have one drop of blood or 50 drops of blood. So long as you're native, that's all that matters. That one drop, that's all it takes. You are a native. Because as I said before, if you can, point to me what part is native. You can't. You can't look at yourself in a mirror and go, oh, well, my nose is native. Well, my left eye is native. My fingers are native. You can't. There is no part. You either are or you aren't. And I'm honored and grateful to be able to say that I come from the royal family of the native community from the Pontiac family. Because back in the old day, we originated from one tribe. Every all of our nations, every tribal nation descended from one tribe, and that is the Pontiac tribe. Unfortunately, because of the way history has played out and everybody having their own beliefs and arguments within family feuds, That's how we've turned into so many nations across this country in North and Central and South America. It was no different than we are today, where if you have a family and you disagree with your brother and they disown you and they walk away from you, they then are now their own separate family. Instead of being one close knit family, you now have two families. And then when you take those two families and they have children or whatever, and they decide, oh, well, I don't agree with this or I don't agree with that, and then they separate, then you have the multiplication and it just keeps going and going. And that's how we've managed to get all the tribes that we have now, is because of feuds between each of the family members to create these different nations. Because when you come down to it, our teachings show that we all descend from one people, the original human beings. We are the oldest nationality, ethnicity, culture within this part of the world. Unfortunately, thanks to the Vatican and the Europeans and everything else, these whole doctrines of discovery and everything have played a big part into keeping us fighting each other, not only in the native nations, but against everybody, because it's now this whole big racial thing, and it shouldn't be. Everybody is represented by that medicine wheel. And that's why I have my Eagle staff, and that's why I speak on these things, is so I can help educate people and hopefully unite our people rather than watching this stupid shit continue for generations and generations and generations. That is one of our teachings, is to hopefully educate and fight so we can preserve the next 7 generations. I am a 7th generation grandson of Chief Pontiac. And if it wouldn't have been for Chief Pontiac fighting against the settlers, whether it's the American government or the Canadian government, either way, it's the Europeans that came here and stole our land. If he wouldn't have fought back then, I would not be here. If my grandfathers after him would not have fought for this country, I would not be here. I've been thankful to learn a lot of our history because of my grandparents and our community members, and it takes a lot to be able to teach these things without having very big issues, because that is one thing that happens still to this day, is our own people will fight over what the teachings say, and we shouldn't be fighting over them. We should be able to have discussions and actually be civil adults about things, but unfortunately that doesn't work out that well. I see the chat moving, so I'm looking to see what's being said. Yeah, nice, Dr. Eo. I'm glad that you believe in holistic medicine. That's one reason I was mentioning the other day that I've been medicating since I was 7 years old. There's a lot of people who don't understand that and would actually prefer to see my medicine taken away. I feel that I always get asked what I am, but if I do say I have it in me, they say it doesn't matter because I already said my color skin. I feel you, Pikachu. I know exactly what you feel. Uh huh. Uh huh. Yeah. When people look at the color of your skin rather than looking at you as a human being, that's terrible. Because it shouldn't be the color of our skin that determines who we are or what we are. It is the spirit that moves your body that determines who you are and what you are. If you practice your culture and you know your culture, then you are a part of your culture. There are too many people out there still to this day, some of them who are older than me, who do not know a lot of our teachings. They don't know our language. I can't say that I know all of my language, but I am still learning. I'm learning every day so I can be a better warrior and a better spiritual leader for my people, so I can speak my language, so I can share those teachings. And there's a lot of people in the community who don't think I should be able to do that just because of the color of my skin. So I totally understand where you're coming from on that. It's shitty. And in our culture, that's considered bad medicine when they do things like that. And make sure I'm not missing any chats popping up here. All right. Any other questions that you might have for me? Because I got all kinds of stuff up in here. It's just a matter of what question I can answer, what question I might not be able to, and what it is that I should share with you, because there's just so many teachings that I can give that it's hard to differentiate which one is something that I should share now rather than later. Um Actually, how many of you here in the chat have actually attended a powwow or a Native American gathering? Or how many of you can say, other than me, that you know a Native American? Or are you Native American? Dr. Elo, what state do you live in? Kim, no, I am not fluent yet, but I am working on it daily. I do have language lessons that I'm practicing, as well as I will actually be making more language lessons soon for my other channel. In fact, I will chat here real quick just in case. The next chat that pops up will be me. Heh. This is my oldest channel. Okay, the chat that just popped up from Raven's Videos 1 is my other channel. It's my oldest channel I still have access to because, like I said, I've been on YouTube since day one. Unfortunately, back in the day when they first started, if you had an email address and you changed your internet service provider and they cut off your old email, you could no longer switch from that email address to your new email address because you no longer have access. So I've actually lost two accounts already to YouTube that were geared towards native teachings and native music. That one I just posted with is my oldest channel that is still active. And I have my native music on there as well as my Native American music collection on there from my records. I have um, three Potawatomi language lessons on there. I also have um, activism videos that I've put on there. And I will be sharing more language lessons there here in the near future to help myself learn as well as to help the community learn as well. Ah, well, Dr. Elo, by that standard, you and I are distant cousins because all of the all of the hereditary chiefs today are relatives. Every chief throughout history are actually blood relatives. And those that are chairmans or chiefs today that actually run the tribes aren't necessarily the hereditary chiefs of their nation. If we were to follow the traditions of back in the day, then 90% of our chiefs that are out around the country that actually run the tribes are not the ones that should technically be in that position. It would be somebody that actually belongs to the royal bloodline. And by that standard, that is how we can show how we're all related. Um, as I said, my grandfather is Chief Pontiac, and that would make me one of the hereditary chiefs for my community. But because we operate on this new wonderful standard like the federal government compared to our traditional government, that's why there's such an issue within a lot of our communities. Because I could tell you right now, if we follow tradition 100%, there would be some very, very, very big changes within the tribal nations. There would be a lot of stuff that would not be happening or tolerated that is allowed today that shouldn't be. But only some of the community actually acknowledges and follows those teachings compared to how the tribal governments are ran now. Nice, Kim. As you can see, based on that, we're quite low on the numbers. Unfortunately, we're still here. We're still surviving, but we're very, very outnumbered. Thankfully, we have allies like you here. Okay, I think that's all of the chat. Okay, I, I didn't miss anything. Sorry, I keep looking at my phone to periodically check because I noticed that the chat moves, but I can't tell what it says or if I had missed anything, so I just wanted to make sure. Any more questions? Because we only got a few more minutes and then we'll be at the top of the hour. And as I said the other day, I'm going to try and keep these around close to an hour as best as possible. Because I can tend to sit here like I've done with Divided by Sight, and I can go 3, 4, 5 hours, and I'm sure you don't want to be sitting here listening to me all damn day long. Yep, Tiano tribe from the Puerto Rico. Yep, we're distant cousins, Elo. Freaking awesome. So not only are we POV Society brothers and Leda fam, but we are actually distant cousins by our tribal blood. I've always wanted to go over there. I've always wanted to check out the nations in the country over there in Puerto Rico. I've wanted to go down to Central and South America to experience the relations with things down there. Um, Everything that's going on right now in South America with the uncontacted tribes as well as the other tribes and the genocide that continues down there. If I could find anybody to actually go with me, I would love to go down there and actually fight alongside our relatives against the genocide that is continuing, as well as the destruction of our rainforests and Mother Earth, because it angers the living hell out of me. Yeah, as well as brothers in arms, too. See you, brother? It good thing that we got connected, isn't it? Okay, we only got a few minutes until. Yes, it is. That is very important work. And hopefully, actually, Dr. Elo, do you care if I send you a friend request when I'm done with the stream? Um, Seeing how I already kind of know your name anyway and we're in the group together, I figure I'll ask here while I have the opportunity rather than just sending you a random friend request on Facebook. But I would love to talk to you more because it angers me to see the things that our relatives are dealing with in the South. It really does. If I had the opportunity to go and protect our relations, I would definitely be down there in a damn heartbeat because we're life savers and life takers. And usually the only time we're planning on taking our lives is when it's needed. And those times of war is actually a thing that we're trained for. Yeah, I know. I know we're friends already, but I don't want it to be just like, hey, friend me because I know you in POV and in Leda. I did the same thing with Callie. I wanted to make sure that I didn't just like message you or friend request you out of the blue, and you'd be going, wait a minute, why in the hell is he sending me this? Oh, okay, that works too. Thank you, brother. All right, we're at the last few minutes here. So, are you ready for your extra treat for today? Because that's what I will close out with is an extra special treat. I'll get that set for in a second. Because I'll do my usual spiel at the end of this little extra tidbit I planned on doing here for everybody. Because I figured this would be another nice little uh, alter ego treat for everybody. Thought you might like a little bit of music. Dr. Elo, you're getting a special treat because this is kind of what I was referring to in my video the last couple days. Um, Hopefully, it's not too loud for you because I did try to make sure levels were good before I came live. But though it sounded good on my end, I don't know how loud it will be on your end. So I will do my best not to blow out your eardrums. And just an FYI, I am self taught. I was not taught by elders or had any lessons or anything like that. I've just played on my own, whatever the spirit within me feels like playing. And that's how I've created most of my music. For being a smoker, I still had a good set of lungs, huh? Hey, Rhino Dog, thanks for joining, brother. I was just getting ready to close out the stream here in just a second. But thank you for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Elo. Greatly appreciated, brother. Kim and Pikachu, thank you as well. Greatly appreciated. I figured this would give everybody a nice little look at the alter ego and give Dr. Elo an extra special treat to see what I was referencing within our leader group about a token of appreciation. Now, of course, this was just me solo on my Raven flute, but the concept that I had for our Leda fam for helping me out these past 3 weeks and really this entire month doing this challenge, that I would give everybody within Leda a free copy of one of my albums that I do plan on releasing to the general public in the near future. It is a official release because I am still in the process of getting them registered for copyright. So I figured it would be a good token of appreciation to not only give back to our Leda family, but to give some kind of a alter ego, as our challenge would say for today, and give everybody a deeper look into me instead of giving some kind of advice or anything like that. I figured I would give everybody some free music that would be nice to listen to share part of my culture. As I said, today it was just me on the flute, but within my actual music masters that I have, you have me on my hand drum, you have me on native flute, as well as listening to uh, computer generated environment thanks to loops. But you will hear birds and the wind and waves and things like that to give that actual outdoor environment kind of feel, to be able to hear me play as if I was outside, because that's where I usually do play my flute when I play, is outdoors. And as I've referenced in Leda about my whole housing situation and no longer having my house where I like to be, um, that's where I would practice, is out in the out in the woods. And one of the few times that I did play out in the woods at my old house, I was actually blessed to have a black wolf come and sit from me to that camera far away. And he just sat there and chilled the entire time I played my flute. And then when I walked away, he actually looked at me like, "Where in the Sam hell do you think you're going? You ain't done playing yet." And it was amazing because after that first time, I walked away and he looked at me that way. I went back out there the very next day and he was there again. So I was blessed, and that's why I actually like playing my native flute, especially outdoors, is because I like to see the way that the animals react. Because that was one thing I was told by my elders, is when we play our flute, that we should pay attention to the animals around us, whether it's birds of prey, whether it's little birds or four legged animals. We should pay attention to them. And not only that, we should also, especially with birds, pay attention to the way that they flap their wings, because when they flap their wings, that is a signal to you, or you can use it as a signal for the way that you play the flute. Like how I would lift my finger on that one note and play a vibration like tone. And that's where I got that from, is watching the birds fly around me and watching them soar and then flap. The, as many times as they flapped is how many times I would vibrate that one tone. Thank you, Dr. Elo. Greatly appreciated, brother. Thank you as well, Pikachu. But we are now a few minutes over our 1 hour mark. So if you guys have any more last minute questions, I will hurry up and answer them for you. And then after that, we can close out the stream for today because I still have to go into Leda and share my alter ego with them. And thank you, Dr. Elo, because with you being here and seeing this now, I know that I'll be able to comfortably do this within Leda a little bit easier because I will admit today I was that wee bit nervous about coming on camera today, sharing my native side a little bit because of wearing part of my regalia and sharing some of our teachings. All right. I'm not noticing anything come in, so think we will call it a day for this stream so I can prepare to go into the other stream. But I do want to thank all of you for joining me today. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Kim, Pikachu, Dr. Elo, Rhino Dog, Ability Mom of Two, Sean, uh, Divided by Sight. I know you're going to be watching this in the replay, so shout out to you because I know you're going to be hitting me up here shortly anyway because of assisting you with a personal matter. But I want to thank you all for joining me. It's greatly appreciated. I'm glad that you enjoyed the flute music and I could help share a little bit of my culture today with you. If you are new here and you're watching this in the replay, don't forget to hit that bell icon and the subscribe so you can stay updated on the latest videos, live streams, and more. And thank you again for joining me here on Consult a Blind Guy. I hope all of you have a good Saturday afternoon, evening, or day, depending on where you are in the world. It's greatly appreciated that you are here with me today to share in this experience. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow for the next challenge for day 23 of Leda. It's hard to believe we only have a week to go, man. It seems like this has just like flown by the past 3 weeks. It's freaking amazing how time flies when you're having fun, especially when you have awesome community members like all of you here, as well as in the Leda group. I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful Saturday. Try not to overheat, stay hydrated, because I know it's hotter than hell here in Michigan. And I will see you all tomorrow at the same time in the same place. And we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, everybody. Bama P, or see you later in my language.